Come, leave your tears, a brief farewell. The beast with many heads butts me away. Nay, mother, where is your ancient courage? You were used to extremities, was the trier of spirits, that common chances common men could bear. But when the sea was calm, all boats alike showed mastership in floating. Fortune's blows, when most struck home, being gentle wounded craves a noble cunning. You were used to load me with precepts that would make invincible the heart that conned them. Oh, heavens, heavens! Nay, I prithee, woman, now the red pestilence strike, all trades in Rome and occupations perish. What? I shall be loved when I am lacked. Nay, mother, resume that spirit when you are wont to say, if you had been the wife of Hercules, 6 of his labors you'd have done and saved your husband so much sweat. Come, Aeneas, droop not, adieu. Farewell, my wife, my mother. I'll do well yet. Thou old and true Aeneas, thy tears are salter than a younger man's, and venomous to thine eyes. My sometime general, I have seen thee stern, and thou hast oft beheld heart-hardening spectacles. Tell these sad women 'tis fond to wail inevitable strokes, and 'tis to laugh at 'em. My mother, you wot well my hazard still have been your solace, and believe it not lightly, though I go alone, like to a lonely dragon that his fen makes feared and talked of more than seen. Your son will or exceed the common, or be caught with cautelous baits and practice. My first son, whither wilt thou go? Take good Cominius with thee a while, determine on some course more than a wild exposure to each chance that starts the way before thee. O the gods, I'll follow thee a month, devise with thee where thou shalt rest, that thou mayest hear of us and we of thee. So if the time thrust forth a cause for thy repeal, we shall not send o'er the vast world to seek a single man, and lose advantage which doth ever cool in the absence of the needer. Fare you well. Thou hast years upon thee, and thou art too full of the war's surfights to go rove with one that's yet unbruised. Bring me but out at gate. Come, my sweet wife, my dearest mother, my friends of noble touch. When I am forth, bid me farewell, and smile. I pray you come. While I remain above the ground, you shall hear from me still, and never of me aught but what is like me formerly. That's worthily as any ear can hear. Come, let's not weep. If I could shake off but 7 years from these old arms and legs, by the good gods, I'd with thee every foot. Give me thy hand. Come. Bid them all home. He is gone, and will no further. The nobility are vexed, whom we have cited in his behalf. Now we have shown our power, let us seem humbler after it is done than when it was a doing. Bid them home. Say their great enemy is gone, and they stand in their ancient strength. Dismiss them home. Here comes his mother. Let's not meet her. Why? They say she's mad. They have ta'en note of us. Keep on your way. Oh, y'all well met. The hoarded plague of the gods requite your love. Peace, be not loud. If that I could, for weeping you should hear, nay, and you shall hear some, will you be gone? You shall stay too. I would I had the power to say so to my husband. Are you mankind? Ay, fool, is that a shame? Note but this fool was not a man, my father, Hadst thou foxship to banish him that struck more blows for Rome than thou hast spoken words? O blessed heavens! Mo noble blows, and ever thou wise words for Rome's good. I'll tell thee what, yet go. Nay, but thou shalt stay too. I would my son were in Arabia, and thy tribe before him, his good sword in his hand. What then? What then? He'll make an end of thy posterity. Bastards all, good man, the wounds that he does bear for Rome. Come, come, peace! I would he had continued to his country as he began, and not unknit himself the noble knot he made. I would he had. I would he had. 'Twas you incensed the rabble cats that can judge as fitly of his wrath, as his worth, as I can of these mysteries which heaven will not have earth to know. Pray let us go. Now pray, sir, get you gone. You have done a brave deed ere you go, hear this. As far as doth the capital exceed, the meanest house in Rome, so far my son, this lady's husband here, this, do you see, whom you have banished, does exceed you all. Well, well, we'll leave you. Why stay we to be baited with one that wants her wits? Take my prayers with you. I would the gods had nothing else to do, but to confirm my curses. Could I meet him but once a day, it would unclog my heart of what lies heavy to it. You have told them home, and by my troth you have cause. You'll sup with me. Anger's my meat. I sup upon myself, and so shall starve with feeding. Come, let's go. Leave this faint pooling, and lament as I do in anger, Juno-like. Come, come, come. Fie, fie, fie. I know you well, sir, and you know me. Your name, I think, is Adrian. It is so, sir. Truly, I have forgot you. I'm a Roman, and my services are as you are against him. Know you me yet? Nicanor, no. The same, sir. You had more beard when I last saw you, but your favors well appeared by your time. What's the news in Rome? I have a note from the Volscian state to find you out there. You have well saved me a day's journey. There hath been in Rome strange insurrections, the people against the senators, patricians, and nobles. Hath been? Is it ended then? Our state thinks not so. They are in a most warlike preparation, and hope to come upon them in the heat of their division. The main blaze of it is past, but a small thing would make it flame again. For the nobles receive so to heart the banishment of that worthy coriolanus, that they are in a ripe aptness to take all power from the people, and to pluck from them their tribunes forever. This lies glowing, I can tell you, and is almost mature for the violent breaking out. Coriolanus banished. Banished, sir. You will be welcome with this intelligence, Nicanor. The day serves well for them now. I have heard it said, the fittest time to corrupt a man's wife is when she's fallen out with her husband. Your noble Tullus Ophidius will appear well in these wars, his great opposer Coriolanus, being now in no request of his country. He cannot choose. I am most fortunate, this accidentally, to encounter you. You have ended my business, and I will merrily accompany you home. I shall, between this and supper, tell you most strange things from Rome, all tending to the good of their adversaries. Have you an army ready, say you? A most royal one. The centurions and their charges distinctly billeted, already in the entertainment and on foot at an hour's warning. I am joyful to hear of their readiness, and am the man, I think, that shall set them in present action. So, sir, heartily well met, and most glad of your company. You take my part from me, sir. I have the most cause to be glad of yours. Well, let us go together. A goodly city is this Antium. City, 'tis I that made thy widows, made an heir of these fair edifices for my wars. Have I heard groan and drop? Then know me not, lest that thy wives with spits and boys with stones in puny battle slay me. Save you, sir, and you, direct me, if it be your will, where great Aufidius lies. Is he in Antium? He is, and feasts the nobles of the state at his house this night. Which in his house beseech you, this here before you. Thank you, sir, farewell. A world thy slippery turns, friends now fast sworn, whose double bosoms seems to wear one heart, whose hours, whose bed, whose meal and exercise are still together, who twin, as 'twere in love, unseparable, shall within this hour, on a dissension of an adroit, break out to bitterest enmity, so fellest foes, whose passions and whose plots have broke their sleep, to take the one the other by some chance, some trick not worth an egg, shall grow dear friends, and interjoin their issues. So with me, my birthplace hate I, and my love's upon this enemy town. I'll enter. If he slay me, he does fair chance. If he give me way, I'll do his country service. Wine, wine, wine! What service is here? I think our fellows are asleep. Where's Cotes? My master calls for him. Cotes! A goodly house. The feast smells well, but I appear not like a guest. What would you have, friend? Whence are you? Here's no place for you. Pray go to the door. I have deserved no better entertainment in being coriolanus. Whence are you, sir? Has the porter his eyes in his head, that he gives entrance to such companions? Pray get you out. Away. Away. Get you away. Now thou art troublesome. Are you so brave? I'll have you talked with anon. What fellow's this? A strange one as ever I looked on. I cannot get him out of the house. Prithee, call my master to him. What have you to do here, fellow? Pray you avoid the house. Let me but stand. I will not hurt your hearth. What are you? A gentleman, a marvelous poor one. True, so I am. Pray you, poor gentleman, take up some other station. Here's no place for you. Pray you avoid. Come. Follow your function. Go and batten in cold bits. What? You will not? Prithee, tell my master what a strange guest he has here. And I shall. Where dwellest thou? Under the canopy. Under the canopy? Aye. Where's that? In the city of kites and crows. In the city of kites and crows. What an ass it is, then thou dwellest with daws too. No, I serve not thy master. How, sir? Do you meddle with my master? Aye, 'tis an honester service than to meddle with thy mistress. Thou prattest and prattest. Serve with thy trencher, hence. Where is this fellow? Here, sir. I'd have beaten him like a dog, but for disturbing the lords within. Whence comest thou? What wouldst thou? Thy name? Why speakest not? Speak, man. What's thy name? If tellest not yet thou knowest me, and seeing me dost not speak me, for the man I am, necessity commands me name myself. What is thy name? A name unmusical to the Volscians' ears, and harsh in sound to thine. Say, what's thy name? Thou hast a grim appearance, and thy face bears a command in it. Though thy tackle's torn, thou showest a noble vessel. What's thy name? Prepare thy brow to frown. Knowest thou me yet? I know thee not. Thy name? My name is Caius Marcius, who hath done to thee particularly, and to all the Volses great hurt and mischief. There to witness may my surname Coriolanus, the painful service, the extreme dangers, and the drops of blood shed for my thankless country are requited. But with that surname, a good memory and witness of the malice and displeasure which thou shouldst bear me. Only that name remains, the cruelty and envy of the people, permitted by our dastard nobles who, have all forsook me, hath devoured the rest, and suffered me by the voice of slaves to be whooped out of Rome. Now this extremity hath brought me to thy hearth, not out of hope. Mistake me not to save my life, for if I had feared death of all the men in the world, I would have avoided thee. But in mere spite to be full quit of those who banishers stand up before thee here. Then if thou hast a heart of wreak in thee, that will revenge thine own particular wrongs, and stop those written maims of shame seen through thy country, speed thee straight, and make my misery serve thy turn. So use it that my revengeful services may prove as benefits to thee. For I will fight against my cankered country with the spleen of all the under fiends. But if so be thou darest not this, and that to prove more fortunes thou art tired, then in a word, I also am longer to live most weary, and present my throat to thee, and to thy ancient malice, which now to cut would show thee but a fool, since I have ever followed thee with hate, drawn turns of blood out of thy country's breast, and cannot live but to thy name, unless it be to do thee service. O Marcius, Marcius, each word thou hast spoke hath weeded from my heart a root of ancient envy. If Jupiter should from yon cloud speak divine things, and say 'tis true, I'd not believe them more than thee, O noble Marcius. Leave me twine mine arms about thy body, where against my grained ash 100 times hath broke, and scarred the moon with splinters. Here I clip the anvil of my sword, and do contest as hotly and as nobly with thy love, as ever in ambitious strength I did contend against thy valor. Know thou first I loved the maid I married, never man sighed a truer breath. But that I see thee here, thou noble thing, more dances my rapt heart than when I first wedded mistress saw bestride my threshold. Why, thou Mars, I tell thee, we have a power on foot, and I had a purpose once more to hold thy target from thy brawn, or lose mine arm for it. Thou hast beat me out 12 several times, and I have nightly since dreamt of encounters twixt thyself and me. We have been down together in my sleep, unbuckling helms, fisting each other's throat, and waked half dead with nothing. Worthy Marcius, had we no other quarrel else to Rome, but that thou art thence banished, we would muster all from 12 to 70, and pouring war into the bowels of ungrateful Rome, like a bold flood or beat. O come, go in, and take our friendly senators by the hands, who now are here, taking their leaves of me, who am prepared against your territories, though not for Rome itself. You bless me, gods. Therefore, most absolute sir, if thou wilt have the leading of thine own revenges, take the 1/2 of my commission, and set down as best thou art experienced, since thou knowest thy country's strength and weakness, thine own ways, whether to knock against the gates of Rome or rudely visit them in parts remote, to fight them or destroy. But come in, let me commend thee first to those that shall say yea to thy desires. 1,000 welcomes, and more a friend than e'er an enemy. Yet, Marcius, that was much. Your hand, most welcome. Here's a strange alteration. By my hand, I had thought to have strucken him with a cudgel, and yet my mind gave me his clothes made a false report of him. What an arm he has! He turned me about with his finger and his thumb as one would set up a top. Nay, I knew by his face that there was something in him. He had, sir, a kind of face, methought, I cannot tell how to term it. He had so, looking as it were, would I were hanged, but I thought there was more in him than I could think. So did I. I'll be sworn he is simply the rarest man of the world. I think he is, but a greater soldier than he what on. Who, my master? Nay, it's no matter for that. We're 6 on him. Nay, not so neither, but I take him to be the greater soldier. Faith, look you, one cannot tell how to say that. For the defense of a town, our general is excellent. Aye, and for an insult too. O slaves, I can tell you news. News, you rascals! What? Let's partake. I would not be a Roman of all nations. I had as lief be a condemned man. Wherefore? Why, here's he that was wont to thwack our general, Caius Marcius. Why do you say thwack our general? I do not say thwack our general, but he was always good enough for him. Come, we are fellows and friends. It was ever too hard for him. I have heard him say so himself. It was too hard for him directly to say the troth on it. Before Coriolanus, he scotched him and notched him like a carbonado. And he had been cannibally given, he might have boiled and eaten him too. But more of thy news. Why, he is so made on here within, as if he were son and heir to Mars, set at upper end of the table. No question asked him by any of the senators, but they stand bald before him. Our general himself makes a mistress of him, sanctifies himself with his hand, and turns up the white of the eye to his discourse. But the bottom of the news is, our general is cut to the middle, and but 1/2 of what he was yesterday. For the other has half, by the entreaty and grant of the whole table. He'll go, he says, and sold the porter of Rome gates by the ears. He will mow all down before him, and leave his passage pulled. And he's as like to do it as any man I can imagine. Do it! He will do it. For look you, sir, he has as many friends as enemies, which friends, sir, as it were, durst not, look you, sir, show themselves, as we term it, his friends, whilst he's in directitude. Directitude? What's that? But when they shall see, sir, his crest up again, and the man in blood, they will out of their burrows like cronies after rain, and revel all with him. But when goes this forward? Tomorrow, today, presently, you shall have the drumstick up this afternoon. 'Tis as it were a parcel of their feast, and to be executed ere they wipe their lips. Why, then we shall have a stirring world again. This peace is nothing but to the rust iron, increase tailors, and breed ballad makers. Let me have war, say I. It exceeds peace as far as day does night. It's sprightly, waking, audible, and full of vent. Peace is a very apoplexy, lethargy, mulled, deaf, sleepy, insensible, a getter of more bastard children than war's a destroyer of men. 'Tis so. And as war in some sort may be said to be a ravisher, so cannot be denied, but peace is a great maker of cuckolds. Aye, and it makes men hate one another. Reason. because they then less need one another. The war is for my money. I hope to see Romans as cheap as Volscians. They are rising, they are rising. In. We hear not of him, neither need we fear him. His remedies are tame. The present pace and quietness of the people, which before were in wild hurry. Here do we make his friends blush that the world goes well, who rather had, though they themselves did suffer by it, behold dissentious numbers pestering streets, than see our tradesmen singing in their shops and going about their functions friendly. We stood to it in good time. 'Tis he, oh, he is grown most kind of late. Hail, sir. Hail to both. Your Coriolanus is not much missed, but with his friends the commonwealth doth stand, and so would do, were he more angry at it. All's well, it might have been much better if he could have temporized. Where is he, hear you? Nay, I hear nothing. His mother and his wife hear nothing from him. The gods preserve you both. Good e'en, our neighbors. Good e'en to you all. Good e'en to you all. Ourselves, our wives and children, and our knees are bound to pray for you both. Live and thrive. Farewell, kind neighbors. We wished Coriolanus had loved you as we did. Now the gods keep you. Farewell, farewell. This is a happier and more comely time than when these fellows ran about the streets crying confusion. Caius Marcius was a worthy officer of the war, but insolent, o'ercome with pride, ambitious, past all thinking, self-loving, and affecting the sole throne without assistance. I think not so. We should by this, to all our lamentation, if he had gone forth, counsel found it so. The gods have well prevented it, and Rome sits safe and still without him. Worthy tribunes, there is a slave whom we have put in prison, reports the Volsces and 2 several powers are entered in the Roman territories, and with the deepest malice of the war destroy what lies before him. 'Tis Aufidius, who, hearing of our Marcius' banishment, thrusts forth his horns again into the world, which were unshelled when Marcius stood for Rome, and durst not once peep out. Come, what talk of you of Marcius? Go see this rumor whipped. It cannot be the Volsces dare break with us. Cannot be. We have record that very well it can, and 3 examples of the like hath been within my age. Reason with the fellow before you punish him where he heard this, lest you chance to whip your information and beat the messenger who bids beware of what is to be dreaded. Tell not me. I know this cannot be, not possible. The nobles in great earnestness are going all to the Senate house. Some news is coming that turns their countenances. 'Tis the slave. Go whip him for the people's eyes, his raising nothing but his report. Yes, worthy sir, the slave's report is seconded, and more fearful is delivered. What more fearful? It is spoke freely out of the many mouths, how probable I do not know, that Marcius, joined with Aufidius, leads a power against Rome, and vows revenge as spacious as between the youngest and oldest thing. This is most likely, raised only, that the weaker sort may wish good Marcius home again. The very trick on it. This is unlikely. He and Aufidius can no more atone than violentest contrariety. You are sent to the Senate. A fearful army, led by Caius Marcius, associated with Aufidius, rages upon our territories, and have already o'erborne their way consumed with fire, and took what lay before them. Oh, you have made good work. What news? What news? You have hoped to ravish your own daughters, and to meet the city leads upon your pates, to see your wives dishonored to your noses. What's the news? What's the news? Your temples burned in the cement, and your franchises, whereon you stood, confined into an augur's bore. Pray now your news. You have made fair work, I fear me. Pray your news, if Marcius should be joined with Volscians. If he is their god, he leads them like a thing made by some other deity than nature, that shapes man better, and they follow him against us brats with no less confidence than boys pursuing summer butterflies or butchers killing flies. You have made good work, you and your apron men. you that stood so much upon the voice of occupation and the breath of garlic eaters. He will shake your Rome about your ears. As Hercules did shake down mellow fruit, you have made fair work. But is this true, sir? Aye, and you look pale before you find it other. All the regions do smilingly revolt, and who resists and are mocked by valiant ignorance, and perish constant fools. Who is it can blame him? Your enemies, and his find something in him. We are all undone, unless the noble man have mercy. Who shall ask it? The tribunes cannot do it for shame. The people deserve such pity of him as the wolf does of the shepherds. For his best friends, if they should say, be good to Rome, they charged him even as those who should do that had deserved this hate, and therein showed like enemies. 'Tis true. If he were putting to my house the brand that should consume it, if I have not the face to say, beseech you, cease. You have made fair hands, you and your crafts. You have crafted fair. You have brought a resembling upon Rome, such as was never so incapable of help. Say not we brought it. How? Was it we? We loved him, but like beasts and cowardly nobles, gave way into your clusters, who did hoot him out of the city. But I fear they'll roar him in again. Tullus Aufidius, the second name of man, obeys his points as if he were his officer. Desperation is all the policy, strength, and defense that Rome can make against them. Here come the clusters, and is Aufidius with him. You are they that made the air unwholesome, when you cast your stinking, greasy caps and hooting at Coriolanus' exile. Now he's coming, and not a hair upon a soldier's head, which will not prove a whip. As many coxcombs as you threw caps up, will he tumble down and pay you for your voices. 'Tis no matter. If he could burn us all into one coal, we have deserved it. Faith, we have fearful news. For mine own part, when I said banish him, I said 'twas pity. And so did I, and so did I. And to say the truth, so did very many of us. That we did for the best, and though we willingly consented to his banishment, yet it was against our will. Your goodly things, you voices, you have made good work, and you in your cry shells to the capital. Oh, what else? Go, masters, get you home. Be not dismayed. These are a sigh that would be glad to have this true, which they seem so to fear. Go home, and show no sign of fear. The gods be good to us. Come, masters, let's home. I ever said we were the wrong when we banished him? So did we all. But come, let's home. I do not like this news, nor I. Let's to the capital. Would half my wealth would buy this for a lie. Pray let us go.